my focus for the session is actually to give you some practical tips that you can use to really beat the cost of living crisis. Uh, so the focus is more on practicality of the tip and practicality of the hack rather than really going into any data analysis and seeing if that particular hack has worked. What I've used is used experience and having spoken to many people around that particular hack. So as we go through each one of them, we will look at what particularly makes that hack stick out. So bear with me, we'll start off. So first thing first, I'm not a financial advisor, and please use this content to make up your mind if that particular hack is actually applicable to you. My aim of this session is to give you more information so that you can make informed decision. I'm not giving you any financial advice as part of this session. So this is just the general disclaimer, taking it out. Now, coming to the cost of living crisis, right? One thing is very clear that the cost of living crisis is real, right? What I've done is I've taken some simple items that all of us use or consume on an everyday basis and just have look at the price difference that you have on these items. I've taken sample data from Australia and India, right? Like for example, you've got milk, which is 50% more expensive in Australia. Similarly, 50% more expensive in India compared to what the milk used to cost in an average setting compared to 2019. Similarly, breads 40% expensive. Rents have gone up by, in Australia at least by 33%, and in some data that I have looked at in India, about 50%. In such a short span of time, we're not talking about even less than 5 years, things have become really, really expensive. There has been a large amount of reasons leading to it. My job is not to decode why it has happened, but in this session, our job is to look at what we can do about this particular thing. So, we will use two people as our mentors for this session today. We will use, I'm going to refer and use a lot of techniques that Robert Cialdini has taught us in the book, in his book Influence. If you have not read it, it is one of the best books to read about psychology. The other thing that I'm going to use is the psychology of human misjudgment. This is a very beautiful talk given by Charlie Munger. It's available on YouTube. It's long talk, I think more than 2 hours, but every minute of that talk is actually worth it. The psychology of human judgment not only helps you in developing the hacks that we're going to see in a short while, but generally helps you in life as well. So both of these, irrespective of this session, if you have not gone through these gems of material available to us as students, then I think you should go and have a look at those ones. Now, let's start off. What is the most important thing that you can do is schedule your negotiation. Now, in each of these hacks, you will see that I have highlighted one aspect more than others. Like in this particular hack, we are talking about scheduling the negotiation. So the way to go about it is you look at your top 4 or 5 top annual expenses. Like for me, it's mortgage, insurance, rent, utility contracts, car and house services. So just categorize what are your top 4 or 5 expenses, and then you use some sort of a system. Like I use TickTick to set up yearly reminders so that you can negotiate to reduce this expenses. Now, why I'm saying this scheduling is important because many times, because the way these organizations set up your mortgage, the way insurance companies set up the insurance and the utility contracts are set up, that you tend to forget them. They just continue to run and you go on with your life. So if we schedule it in an application which we have on our mobile or on our browsers, then what happens is you will remember it and then you can actually go ahead and get advantage of negotiating it. Because remember, if you are negotiating with a corporate entity on the other side, you will have the leverage because they would want to keep your business. And many times I've found that just doing this MA exercise can save you thousands of dollars every year just by being disciplined and ensuring that you have got something in your calendar. So that is something that I strongly recommend everyone who wants to save to go ahead and do it straight after this session. The next thing that we're going to talk about is, and it's going to be very, very counterintuitive. A lot of times we are saying that information and the IT revolution has actually made things transparent, right? You can find anything anywhere just by typing something or asking ChatGPT on your mobile or doing a Google search. But my personal experience and some of the experience of some of the smart people is that you try and buy most things in person. The main reason for that is when you are buying, especially some big stuff, like if you're buying a desktop, you're buying a furniture, when you go in stores, they will have some specials which will not be there on online. And sometimes because you're talking to a human, you will be able to negotiate on prices, which is impossible on Amazon or Flipkart or Kogan. So go and buy things in person. The other thing is a lot of places, at least in Australia, that I have seen is if you have found something which you like and it is expensive than what's their online prices, they will do a price match because they would not want to lose customers. Remember always this in your mind, right? If there is a corporate on the other side, you will have chance to succeed because they would not want to lose your business. The other thing is when you are buying in person, there are there are no pop-ups, there are no distractions influencing you to buy more. So if you I've put a screenshot of how Shopify is teaching its sellers that you do these things, and this will like they've listed out 8 things like announce flash sales, add cart, reservation features. Do these things and they will push people to buy more. And you can also observe from your own behavior, right? If you're buying something online on a website, you get a pop-up that, hey, we also have got discount on XYZ. Hey, we've got something like that. Those distractions sometimes mean that you have to buy more. But when you're doing physical shopping, then those distractions, although they are there when you're walking through an aisle, you're seeing advertisements, those are there. But because they are in physical setting, you have to make an effort if you want to do an purchase. So sometimes that helps in not letting you buy. So that's why I think that physical effort we don't like. We humans we don't like hitting gym, whether it is few extra steps, whether it is walking extra mile to buy something. We tend to avoid physical effort, and that's the reason why online shopping is now popping up, and now we are having 10 deliveries because we we don't like physical effort. And if you make your shopping exercise more physical and intuitive, then you'll probably save money in the long run. So a counterintuitive advice, but something that I think you should try it out. That's number 9. The next that we're going to talk about is make spending effortful. So the exercise here is that you have to make the act of spending a little bit effortful on your side. Now, I've got a technique that you can use. What I would suggest is create like 2 accounts. One is your primary account where all your income is coming, and then create a smaller account which is your spend account, and then only send money from your primary account to a spend account, a very small amount. Like let's take an example. You can just send to spend account only $500, and every time a $500 goes to zero, you replenish it, and then the main account should have no card and should not be linked to any of your Apple Pays and the UPIs and the GPays. So it's basically just a store account. You don't spend out of that account. And then you use your spend account to do all of your spending. Now, what it does, and this is what was actually something that I picked up from the influence book by Robert Sidani, is that when you are actually physically moving money, every time that $500 or $1,000 from your salary account to that spend account, the act of doing that mentally over and over 2 or 3 or 4 times in a month will make you more conscious that you are spending a lot. So try this method out. Split out your accounts. Keep your main account with no card, no spending Apple Pays and the UPIs and the GPays added to it. Make a separate spend account and then try doing this exercise for 4 5 months. You will realize that you will become more conscious and probably you'll spend more and you'll get better value for your money because you've become more conscious in spending. So the other thing, if you want to do even extreme, right, then you can actually use, if your situation allows, just only use cash for all your spending, all your discretionary spending, just use cash. The physical act of giving someone a cash note is actually not something that people like. We don't want to be parted away with money, but when we do it digitally, we don't feel it. When you do it physically using cash notes, you do it. So if you want to try, you can do it. But I know not everyone's situation will allow you to use cash in everyday situation. So you can try this alternative method where you use two accounts. So that's one hack, making spending effortful. What else? So the other thing that I tell people is never buy something that is sold to you. Now I'll take a pause and explain you what I mean here is most of the things that we buy are actually sold to us through advertisers, through marketeers, through referrals, and things like that. What I suggest is you add a counter punch in your life. You're saying that I'm not going to buy anything that is sold to me. I will buy things that I need. And that simple psychological mindset of not buying things that are sold to you is actually going to help you reduce your spending. Because remember, I've given some examples, right? A lot of times salespeople will force certain products to you because they are getting a large amount of margin. They are getting a large amount of uh, they're getting a lot of amount of commission out of that. So they have incentives to sell you. Whether it is providing value to you or not, you would not know. So that's the suggestion, right? Look at if the product is giving you actually absolute value, because a lot of times people will show you options. Option A is costing you $500. Option B is costing you $100. You get trapped to the anchor that has been set, which is $500, and you go ahead and buy that $100 cheaper alternative. So that's also another techniques a lot of salespeople do. So remind yourself in the mind always that I don't buy things which are sold to me. I buy things which I need. And then using that hack, you will see a lot of spending pattern that you have will change. And you can teach this to your partner. If you've got kids, you can teach it to them. You've got parents, siblings. If all of them start using this simple mantra that I only buy things that I need, I don't buy things that are sold to me, you will positively see a change in your spending behavior. So that is something that you should definitely look at. What is the next hack? The next hack is consider renting. Now, this might sound as counterintuitive, but what I'm suggesting is a lot of times we buy things and then we don't use them for a very long duration. We are only using them once or twice in a year, or sometimes even once or twice in 5 years. So for something like that, think about renting because renting might eventually turn out to be cheaper for you. I've given some examples, right? A lot of people are buying, at least people I know are buying holiday homes, which they go and live a month or 2 months in a year. And they're parking a large amount of money which could have been invested somewhere else. Instead of doing that, they could actually just go on and book a resort for the duration that they want to use that home. Sometimes it's only 5 or 10 days in a month. So definitely may not be a very great idea of in buying a holiday home if you're not intending to live it for a long time. Then some people just keep on upgrading cars. Yeah, you like the cars, you like the machines, you are a car enthusiast. You should do it. So But my recommendation is that if you want that good feeling, a lot of us are actually stuck 9 to 5 most of our days on work, right? And we're getting 1 or 2 weeks or maybe 4 weeks of holidays in a year. So maybe just rent a car for 4 weeks in a year and don't buy that upgraded car. So you can probably use that car for 4 weeks when you're on holiday, and then just go back to your normal car for the rest of the year. So even I've done the calculations. Even that will save you a lot of money. So think of these principles. Like consider when you have short-term needs, when you're buying high depreciation assets, when you're in a limited budget or a cash flow, and you're not intending to use that asset for extensively, then you can look at renting, and you will find that a lot of times renting will work out better than buying. I've given a couple of examples. There are other examples like toys, musical instruments, if you're not using them regularly, heavy machinery, and few others. So when you are making any substantial uh, buying decision, pause and reflect. Can you rent? Is it something that will help you uh, save money because you've gone down the renting decision? So that's a very counterintuitive hack, but something that you can probably try. Now, as I was saying, right, previously we discussed that we will make the effort of spending effortful. We'll make spending effortful. We'll have two accounts every time you have to transfer from one account to another account to make uh, spending effortful. But this technique is telling you that you make investments, you remove that effort. You make your investment as much as possible. So what will happen is an example that I have given you here is from your main salary account, as I was referring to in my previous example, right? There is no harm. But what you do is you put a direct debit and put regular investments out of that. So every time something comes up in your account, it could be business income, it could be your salary income, you have a direct debit, and then the direct debit directly goes and makes regular investment. So what will happen is because and my suggestion is if you're younger and if you're not much debt responsibility, you go aggressive on these direct debits and then regular investments. And every time your pay rises, uh, you should actually increase the direct debit so that your investments are always going up with inflation. I've got a link to a YouTube video which explains this in much more detail. But what it will do is because you are spending a lot of that cash that is coming to you every month through business or salary in regular investment, not much will be left for discretionary income. Because remember, we're humans, we are not robots. So if the extra cash is lying in our bank account, typically we'll spend it. But if it's not there, then you don't spend it. Generally, like a lot of people promote credit cards and they give you a lot of good access, but they also actually spoil your spending habits. So if you think the benefits outweigh the costs for having credit cards, then keep them. But personally, I don't think so. They do it for me, so I generally don't have any credit card or any personal credit cards that we use for our spending. Then what else? What you can do is now we're going to go into a slightly more advanced techniques that you can use. I've explained debt recycling in a YouTube video, and I've got a link to that on the slide so you can watch it peacefully after the session. But what I'm talking about is generally government doesn't allow you to deduct the EMI that you are paying on your home because it's considered as bad debt. So there is a process where you can actually create this bad debt as good debt. So that recycling is that process. So I won't be able to go in a lot of details in this slide on that, but I'll give you a quick summary. So the way it goes is, say you have got a certain portion of debt against your home, and obviously you will not be allowed to deduct that as from your income before you pay your taxes. What you do is you take more. money on your home. Say for example, you have ability to take more money on your home rather than what you've currently got. You take out that money. This is called equity in financial terms, and then you invest that equity somewhere else, and any debt that you pay, because general home loans are really one of the lowest rates of any other products that you can get debt on. And if your intention is that you make a little bit more than what the interest that you are paying, so you create a certain small cash flow. You use that cash flow and pay off your original home loan. So I don't know if I've confused you more today, but there is plenty of material on debt recycling and what are the good strategies to implement it. I've got my own video, and then there is other people who've also done a lot of good work on YouTube, so you can look up that. What recycling does is it actually gives you additional cash flow. So either you can reduce your bad debt with that additional cash flow that you get, or you can spend it because that becomes like an additional source of income for you. So check out that as an option, and also try and use if you can do debt recycling. Uh, Again, whatever I'm telling you is not financial advice, but this is a very good technique. There are a lot of books written on it. People have done YouTube videos. I've got a YouTube video on it as well. So think if that is something that is suitable to your circumstances. This is another technique which can increase cash flow for you. Now, what else? The other thing that you have to do psychologically in your mind is that one thing that you have to constantly keep telling yourself is brand is not equal to quality. Brand is not equal to quality. You can find quality in unbranded as well. The reason I'm saying this is, and I've got some data, look at the companies that they're selling, and they're across the board, right? You've got beverage company like Coca-Cola, Nike, which does footwear, Tesla, which does automotive, Hermes, which does luxury goods. Lot of them have got a very high gross margin, which means the product that they make, the cost of getting that product, and the cost that you pay to get that product, they are only paying about 20 to 30% on the material. And so if you're spending $100, they have acquired that product only for $25 because the rest, 60 or 70%, is the branding charge that we are paying to them. Of course, all of these companies have been delivering good stuff for many, many years, but they are also charging a premium for it. So when you are judging a quality of anything that you're buying, judge on judge on the actual quality, the performance, durability, and reliability of the product or service, from the branding of it. So in your head, if you're able to distinguish between brand and quality, it will save you a lot in terms of when you're trying to spend. Because somehow the brands will convince you that brand is quality, but many a times you'll find out that's not the case. A lot of the examples, like I've gone to factories which does manufacturing for Nike, and the same factory also does manufacturing for some other brands, and they are much cheaper brands, and but the quality is same because the same manufacturer is doing the footwear for them. And a lot of these companies, they don't even do their own manufacturing; they outsource it to other providers. So if you get that switch in your mind that brand is not equal to quality, that is something that can probably help you in saving money when you're spending on stuff. Let's see. We'll go down to our last two. The second last one is there are a number of marketing techniques that companies use so that you spend more. Your job is to recognize that marketing trick because, and I've listed out many examples, right? Let's take an example, which is up to X% off. Generally, when they do it, they will limit it through a dollar number. So up to 50% off, but the maximum off is $20. So these are some of the marketing tricks used by companies so that you spend out of your pocket. um, and they keep getting better and better, because remember, some of these corporates are employing the best of psychologists, the best of people on a human-based design, so that they force you to buy more. So our job is to actually recognize that marketing tech. And as I was telling you previously, right, there are a couple of books to read. In the earlier part of the presentation, we talked about influence as one of the primary books. In that book, you can actually see a lot of examples that the author has given where companies or people use those tricks against you. So if we are aware of those ones, then what we can do is we can potentially avoid those ones. So yeah, I'll leave the link to the pack so that you can have a look at these ones. But these are some of the, like, a lot of times people will do free trials, and then you will forget about those free trials. And so what I've also done is I've also given some hacks on how can you do it. So if you take a free trial, set a calendar reminder to cancel that trial. Otherwise, you'll start getting into that auto renewal mode, and then that becomes a bit of a problem because your spendings keep on increasing because you have not been disciplined about it. So that brings us to the last. My last hack is not about spending less, but my last hack is about earning more. Nothing can beat it. There are multiple ways to earn more salary, earn more through investments, do business, monetize skill sets if you have. Um, I've got a link where Naval talks about how you can productize yourself. And yeah, you can probably have a look at that one post this presentation. But the number one thing that is going to help you keep your head above the cost of living crisis is by earning more. So, so yeah, that's number one thing that you should focus on, how you can earn more, and a variety of ways. Maybe we can do another session on each of these to see what are the techniques that we can use to earn more. So that brings me to the end of presentation. You can keep in touch with me on these.